When last we left our Continental Army, they were recently defeated and holed up in Valley Forge, with a harsh winter in front of them and the threatening shadow of the British Army over them. There was no winning this war unless the Patriots sought help from other countries. Luckily for them, Ben Franklin was in good standing with the French. France agreed to supply arms and to loan money to Congress. Some European soldiers also joined the Patriot cause. A 19-year-old Frenchman, the Marquis de Lafayette, became a general in the Continental Army. Baron Friedrich von Steuben, a German soldier, played a key role in training colonial troops. Both of these guys had extensive military background. But you want to know what's more extensive? Lafayette's full name. I just know I'm going to butcher this, so, I wrote it down, so bear with me. His full name was Marie-Joseph Paul Yves Roche Gilbert du Motier, Marquis de Lafayette. Alright, that's all the time we have. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Okay, not really, but it took me forever to read that name. There's a reason why the Americans just called him Lafayette. Some cool facts about this guy, though. He was so into this concept of people fighting for their independence that at a very young age, he left his home country of France to go join the war. And by the time he was just 19 years old, he was already a high-ranking officer in the military. And in fact, he was so helpful that he went back to France during the war to go rally some more troops to help fight the Americans. And we'll get to what they did later on in this video. Von Steuben was also a pretty cool dude. He literally wrote the book on how American troops should fight. Remember, when the Continental Army was first established, it was just a ragtag bunch of Minutemen and militia members who barely had any idea of how to fight. Von Steuben fixed that and actually became George Washington's right-hand man during the later parts of the war. Overall, both of these guys were major help. And so with these newfound skills and support, the Continental Army was ready to make a major move in the war. In mid-1777, about 9,000 British troops crossed the border from Canada. About 2,000 Vermont and New Hampshire soldiers attacked them. Thousands of Continental troops rushed to help. By October, the British Army was trapped at Saratoga, New York, and its commander, British General John Burgoyne, surrendered to American General Horatio Gates. Finally, a major victory for the Americans, and talk about a comeback. The battles of Saratoga started out as a lopsided 9,000 British to 2,000 Continental troops. And when our book says that thousands showed up to support, you want to know how many thousands? 11. 11,000 troops showed up to support the Continental Army that this all of a sudden turned into a 13,000 to 9,000 fight that favored America. The battles of Saratoga were a turning point in the war. After the colonists had defeated British troops at Saratoga, France declared war on Britain and sent troops and ships to help the colonists. Spain pledged to support France. Since Dutch merchants were trading with the Americans, Dutch banks loaned the Americans money. The Continental Army now had strong allies to help them. So what once started as a mixed bag of Minutemen and militia members with little to no skills in the art of war is now turning into a full-fledged army. This is like the Avengers showing up out of nowhere, or all the spaceships in the finale of Star Wars, or even all the armies in Lord of the Rings. Really, any nothing to something example you could think of, this was it. Their confidence was through the roof at this point, and they've got Great Britain on the ropes. So, the British again tried a new strategy. For the next 3 years, they fought in the southern colonies where loyalists helped them. But the war did not go well there for Great Britain. In 1781, Spain captured a British fort at Pensacola, Florida. Moving down south was actually a pretty smart idea by the British since that's where a lot of the loyalists lived. Remember, Georgia, a southern colony, didn't attend the First Continental Congress because they were so loyal to Great Britain. Despite these efforts, though, Great Britain's other enemy, Spain, made quick work of them. So things weren't working for British in the north. And now they're not working for them in the south. Looking at this map here, you can see they're slowly getting cornered into the middle of the colonies. And it was here in Yorktown, Virginia, that everything changed. Then that summer, a large British force marched on the Virginia coast. But the French Navy stopped enemy ships from bringing the British supports from New York. Washington's army and thousands of French soldiers arrived from the north. They trapped the British in the port of Yorktown, where they pounded the British with cannon fire for about 2 weeks. Finally, British Lieutenant General Charles Cornwallis surrendered. This is the battle I was talking about earlier, where Lafayette showed back up with more French troops. With their troops and Washington's troops coming from the north, and the Spanish troops coming from the south, Great Britain was stuck between a rock and a hard place, which is to say they were not in a great spot here. And the Battle of Yorktown would wind up becoming one of the last major battles of the Revolutionary War. With the help of their foreign allies, the Continental Army secured yet another key and major victory in this war. That's not to say that the fighting immediately stopped after this battle, but the fighting did kind of settle down a little bit after that. Though we'll cover those topics in tomorrow's video. For now though, let's pull those workbooks back out, turn to page 80, And take a look at section number 6 where it says the Continental Army gained some allies. The book asks us to list 3 examples, but come on guys, the foreign allies did so much help for the Continental Army that we can at least double that and write down 6. Here we go. For starters, thanks to Ben Franklin's good relationship with France, they sent over arms, which are weapons, loaned money, and most importantly, they sent extra troops and ships to help fight. In addition to those things, some foreign leaders also helped train the American soldiers into a true battle-ready army. Third, when things weren't going well for the British, they went south, but were met by Spain, who captured a British fort in Florida. And because they were in business together, the Dutch banks loaned America some money because Congress was having such a hard time paying for their things with their own money. Fifth, when Lafayette returned with more troops, the French Navy cut off British ships from aiding their army. And last but not least, the French also helped trap the British in Yorktown, which we learned was one of the final major battles of the American Revolution. Whew! We did it. Whether you know it or not, we just got through talking about one of, if not the most important wars in American history. We still have a few loose ends to wrap up, but overall, we made it. In tomorrow's video, we're going to start talking about what happened after the iconic Battle of Yorktown. But guys, that's going to do it for today's daily dose of history. Be sure to head back to the Google Classroom and answer our question of the day. And remember, our Zoom review session for the test is happening tomorrow. The invitations for each class were sent out this morning, so be sure to check your school email for more details on that. Not to worry if you can't find that one though, because I'll also be sending out a reminder on Friday morning. And again, your states and capitals quiz is at the end of the month on the 29th. The maps you need to study are located on Google Classroom as well as on my own class website, so make sure you're giving them a look over the next couple of weeks. And so with that being said, I'll see you right here tomorrow.